I am all too familiar with that word, rejection. I was rejected by boys all throughout middle school and high school. I was rejected by my first choice college, but recently I've been experiencing a very different and especially discouraging type of rejection. It's been almost a year now that I have had back-to-back rejection from auditions. Now, every actor knows that rejection is a part of the job, a big part of the job. According to the Screen Actors Guild American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, also known as SAG-AFTRA, around 90% of actors are unemployed at any given time. A Queen Mary University of London study also found that 90% of actors are out of work at any one time, and that only 2% of actors make a living from acting. Between you and me, knowing that information doesn't really make accepting the rejection any easier. Sometimes, depending on the show, if I get rejected and I don't get a role, I can shrug it off. But there's other projects where the rejection just leaves me completely debilitated. I start to feel like something is wrong with me, and that inevitably leads me not only to want to give up, but to feel like I'm not good enough. And I know that a lot of you out there, whether you're actors or not, can probably relate to that feeling. Feeling like you're not good enough at the thing that you love, the thing that you're passionate about, that you tell all your friends and family about. I mean, it just makes you want to quit altogether. But I think it's safe to assume that you've decided not to quit, because otherwise why would you have clicked on this video? And I'm glad you did, my precious viewer, because today I want to share some advice with you on how to handle rejection in a healthy way, and hopefully to encourage you to not give up, whatever your goal may be. Before we get into the what to do's and what not to do's of dealing with rejection, I have to mention a book that I always find myself coming back to again and again in this journey of being an actor, and that's The Actor's Life, A Survival Guide by Jenna Fischer. A lot of you guys know Jenna Fischer as Pam Beasley from The Office. And I found this book, I want to say maybe a year or two ago, and I just, again, find myself coming back to it because the advice is so good. I highly recommend it, and truly it deserves a video of its own. But the reason I'm bringing it up today is because I'm going to be using and quoting a lot of Jenna's advice from this book to support some of the ideas I'm trying to share with you today. And now here are the what to do's and what not to do's when dealing with rejection. What not to do. Compare. Especially nowadays, it is so easy to compare ourselves and our success with other people. My Instagram, for example, is mostly other actors because that's where I like to connect with people the most. And so on my stories and on my feed, I will most of the time get a lot of pictures or videos of people doing what I wish I was doing, which is being in shows or doing commercials or even being on TV sets. These are all things that obviously as an aspiring actress I want to be doing. And when I'm not, and when I'm facing rejection, it just makes it all that much harder to see other people doing what it is I want to do. That's completely normal. All of us actors have experienced that at one point or another. But the important thing is to remember that everybody's journey is different. That person who you're looking at and who you're comparing yourself to, they're most likely doing the exact same thing and comparing themselves to somebody else and wishing that they had somebody else's success. So that's the thing that it really comes down to with comparison is contentment. You have to be content with the work that you've done, even if the work has just been going to auditions. If you haven't landed anything, that's okay, because you're taking the step actively to go and audition for shows. You're showing up for yourself, you're following your dream. So don't compare yourself to others because you are on a completely different journey. Just be proud of the work that you have done. On that note, I want to say something that really helps me when it comes to comparison. A couple of things actually are sometimes if there's somebody's story that I know is gonna kind of affect me in a vulnerable time in my life, I usually just mute people's stories or mute their feed for a little bit. And the other thing that really helps me is celebrating the small wins. So let's say you go to an audition, right? Regardless of whether or not you get anything back from that audition, the fact that you went, it's celebrating that small win. Let's say here's an example. Recently I went to the Alliance audition and I only got 2 emails back from that, no callbacks. But the fact that somebody had seen the work that I did, the monologue that I did, and reached out to me because of that, I considered that a win. I celebrated that. Another example is when you get a call back. Celebrate that small win, and hopefully that will help you not compare yourself so much with others. You are enough. So often we worry that we have to bring some amazing razzle-dazzle to a role to stand out. We try to figure out what they are looking for when really we need to figure out how to bring ourselves to the role. Only you can give your performance. Only you have your unique set of experiences, emotions, and way of expressing yourself. Trust that you are enough. The second thing to not do is to take rejection personally. Most of the time, it isn't personal. It can be you weren't tall enough, maybe you were too short, maybe you didn't look a certain way, maybe you had the wrong color hair, the wrong cut of hair. That is totally okay. It's just the name of the game. The hard truth is that it often takes more than good work to get the job. It's about doing good work, certainly, but it's also about timing, luck, being the right height, the right weight, having the right hair color, being the right race, any number of arbitrary factors. So at the end of the day, if you get rejected from a role, even if your instinct is to think, oh my gosh, the director hated me, they all hated my performance, or whatever, don't let yourself go there. Directors have a vision of what they want their show to look like, and sometimes you're just not the right person to fit into that vision. But the important thing is to remember that you are unique, and one day, one audition, you are going to perfectly fit the vision that a director has for a play, a movie, a TV show, whatever it is you're auditioning for. So it's important to remember that and to not take it personally when you don't get cast. And this kind of brings me to my last point of what not to do. Don't give up. At the end of the day, you just have to remind yourself, where do you want to be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, okay? Because let's say you gave up now, and at year 5, was when you were going to audition for something that is like the big dream, right? And then let's say at year 5, you want to give up, and year 10 was whenever you were going to get cast in that dream role. So obviously the timeline is different for everybody, but the important thing is just to remind yourself of that you're never even going to get that opportunity at year 5, year 10 if you give up in year 1. So just keep going. Even when it's hard. I have tips that I'm gonna get into on how to stay motivated whenever you are feeling like giving up. You really can't fail unless you give up. Eventually, there is going to be something for you. I've learned that from personal experience, and even though I'm in a season of just back-to-back rejection right now, the fact that I have been cast in a dream role before, for me that was playing Lucy Pevensey in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. That experience is something that I hold on to remind myself one day I will fit into a director's vision for a role that I truly want. Here's another quote from the book. Keep in mind, at this point, I've been clawing away for 8 years, so I knew better than to get my hopes up. And I wasn't alone. Everyone was struggling gig to gig, paycheck to paycheck. The supporting cast members all had similar stories. We all needed a break. This is coming from Jenna Fischer, who is basically saying she had been auditioning for TV, movies for 8 years and was this close to giving up. Steve Carell and John Krasinski, Rainn Wilson, those people also went through huge seasons of rejection. I think especially inspiring is John Krasinski's story, which isn't necessarily detailed in the book, but I've read online that he was ready to give up. This was like the last audition that he was going to do. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but this is just the story that I've heard. And he went and he landed the role of Jim Halpert, which is like one of the biggest roles in the show. So all that to say, don't give up. You never know when it can be your time. Now here is what to do whenever you're dealing with rejection. Give yourself some grace. Every artist has a different journey, and you'll have to figure out yours. You have to determine how much you can endure, because the roadblocks, doubt, and insecurity are all part of living an artistic life. A lot of anxiety was coming from my belief that I was failing because things were taking so long. I needed to stop comparing myself to other people and commit to an actor's life with all its ups and downs. Then I needed to change my approach. Being an actor is a lifestyle. I had chosen the path of an artist. I needed to embrace my decision. If I could go back and give sobbing Jenna some advice to make it easier, here's what I would say. Step 1, give yourself permission to be an actor. Don't apologize for being weird. Live an unashamed artistic life. Step 2, create your own work. Step 3, never give up. Ultimately, you have to find your own way, and you will. So be patient with yourself. Try to embrace the journey. You're only human. You're doing your best. That's all that matters. So give yourself some grace. The second thing to do is to do good work. I think a lot of us think of auditioning as this huge obstacle that we have to just hurdle over, right? But you have to reframe the way you think of auditions and start to think of it not as an obstacle, but as a part of the work of being an actor. Because it is so not just about getting cast in things. It is everything that you do in preparation for that moment, and it's how you present yourself at auditions as well. That's all the part of acting. This means being on time to your audition, being professional, not just with the director or with whoever is judging your audition, but also with your fellow actors, being kind. All of that is encompassed when you do good work. As Jenna puts it, your job as an actor is to create a consistent body of work. It is not to book jobs. It is not to worry and beat yourself up over every job you didn't book. Those decisions are out of your control. What is in your control is your approach to auditioning. So just because you didn't book a certain role, it doesn't mean you failed. More often than not, getting or not getting a role has very little to do with how you performed at that particular audition. It boils down to how you fit into the bigger picture they're painting. If you're consistently having good auditions, you're laying the groundwork for future success. An acting coach once told me that my goal should be to collect 50 no's for every one yes. This actually turned out to be really effective advice. Every time I failed to get a part, I'd think, cool, I'm one step closer to collecting my 50 no's, which means I'm one step closer to getting a yes. I think that's such a positive way to look at it, that every rejection is one step closer to acceptance, to getting a role, and potentially even getting a dream role. And like she says, it's basically laying a groundwork for you to build on as you keep auditioning. The next thing to do is to have a good support system. This has been especially important for me. Having my husband, having my friends who are also actors, and even family members who aren't actors but who are extremely supportive in what I do, having that support system has helped me so much in the past year. Sometimes it can really just come down to who you're surrounding yourself with. If you're surrounding yourself with people who are always negative, always bringing you down, don't believe in your dream, keep telling you to give up, how is that going to help you deal with rejection? Versus having a group of friends who've been in the same boat as you and who can relate to the feeling of being rejected but also offer great advice, that's a game changer. If you want to be an actor, you have to live an artistic life. You must find ways to express this life with others. Find other artists like yourself who are new in town and embrace one another. You'll need this. Create a family of weird, creative, supportive people. Sustaining work as an actor starts with the relationship you make with other artists. It doesn't mean that you have to have only friends that are also artists that can relate to what you're going through. It really, for me, just means surrounding yourself with a community of people that can support you in your time of need when you're facing rejection and help you get back on your feet. I have a great example of how having a good support system works that is actually from yesterday. I have this group chat that I'm in with the girls who were in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And, we go on there, we send memes, we catch up, and sometimes we vent and share advice with each other. And yesterday, one of the girls on the group chat was just talking about how difficult the season of rejection has been for her and how, it makes her feel like she wants to give up. Obviously, I can relate to that feeling, so we were all kind of sharing our experience in relation to rejection. And one of the other girls in the group chat, her name is Whitney, she gave some great advice, and so I'm just going to read it to you guys. So she says, "It's tough. Find something in the industry that still brings you joy. Seeing a show, listening to a cast album, or find ways to prioritize the non-theater parts of your life. Remind yourself that you have value as an artist. Sure, but also in many more ways and parts of your life." I think that's so well put, and really that's what it comes down to, is just remembering that your life is a lot more than just acting and just auditioning and just being an artist. It's about your relationships, it's about your family, friends, partner, pets. It's about doing other hobbies. This past year, I actually started learning piano at 22 years old. something I never thought that I would be able to do, but it has just been like almost like therapeutic. It's just this amazing thing that I can look forward to that's not related to acting, it's not related to anything else that I do. Taking these lessons and learning to play the piano has been so fulfilling for me. Now I have like this music part of my life, and I have my family and my friends, and then I have theater. Life is a lot more than just the theater part. It's everything else. It's taking good care of yourself, having good relationships, and things like that. I also want to super emphasize that last thing that Whitney said, which is that you have so much value that is not just because you're an artist. You have value as a human being. All of this really ties into just how great it is to have a good support system, because I have women in my life who have been in the same place that I've been, and they're able to give me this great advice that just encourages me and builds me up. Last but not least, I know I've touched on this before, but I just want to really drive it in. When dealing with rejection, the most important thing you can do is not give up. Don't let the rejection discourage you and make you quit, especially if this is your dream and your passion. Hold on to that. Jenna Fischer says, every audition is a chance to learn, practice, and grow as an actor. The success is not always in getting the part, but in the seed that is planted. So don't beat yourself up if you don't get all the parts. Just make sure you are learning, growing, and doing your very best. That's all you can really control. And listen, casting directors make mistakes all the time. They're only human. Allison Jones once confessed that she failed to bring Ryan Gosling in for a callback. I love that analogy of planting seeds. I think that really is what the actor's journey is all about. It's planting these seeds in hopes that they'll grow and that you'll be able to harvest success, really, and not just success, but fulfillment. Because if you're doing this just for money, holy crap, if you're doing this just for money, I don't know why you've chosen to be an actor, because we do not make a lot of money. And most of us, if not all of us, have to have day jobs or 2-day jobs, and it's just insane. Like, this life is definitely not easy by any means. So I don't know why anybody would do it just for money. For most people, I would like to believe that you have a deeper reason for why you're doing this. Maybe it's something that sparked joy in you as a child, and now you're like rediscovering that as an adult. That's an example from my own life, because I did a bunch of plays in elementary school. I used to love doing little song and dance and like pretend plays for my parents when I was a kid. I loved acting, I loved watching movies, and as I went into middle school and high school, I was discouraged from that dream. So as an adult, I rediscovered that dream, and that's been why I've been pursuing that. It's kind of like healing my inner child, basically. So if you have a deeper and more meaningful reason for pursuing acting or whatever type of art you're pursuing, that's the thing that will keep you going, is just remembering the why. You have to have a strong why that goes beyond money, because if not, it is so easy to give up. Keep going. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be so worth it. I hope that this video brought you comfort, inspiration, or a little bit of insight today. I'm definitely going to try to make more videos like this, kind of video essay style content, and I've been enjoying it immensely. Unfortunately today, I had planned to bring like my tripod, and I even bought these like little microphones because I wanted to do like better audio quality for the videos. But I left the one that was charged at home. I left my tripod at home. So this isn't maybe like the best quality video that I could make, but it's a video that was very important to me to make. And I'm very glad that I finished it and that I'm able to share it with y'all today. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to talk with you all again.